victory of Jehoash, all that he did, and his mightiness, and how he fought against King Amaziah of Judah. Is it not written in the book of the history of the times of the kings of Israel? Then Jehoash was laid to rest with his forefathers, and Jeroboam sat on his throne. Then Jehoash was buried in Samaria with the king of Israel. Now when Elijah became ill with the sickness from which he eventually died, Jehoash, the king of Israel, came down to him and wept over him, saying, My father, the chariot of Israel and his horsemen. Elijah then said to him, Take a bow and arrows. So he took a bow and arrows. Then he said to the king of Israel, Put your hand to the bow. So he put his hand to it, after which Elijah laid his hands on the king's hand. Then he said, Open the window toward the east. So he opened it. Elijah said, Shoot. So he shot. He now said, Jehovah's arrow of victory, the arrow of victory over Syria. You will strike down Syria at Aphek until you finish it off. He continued, Take the arrows, and he took them. Then he said to the king of Israel, Strike the ground. So he struck the ground 3 times and stopped. At that the men of the true God grew indignant at him and said, You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck down Syria until you finished it off. But now you will strike down Syria only 3 times.
Good, Jake. We're looking at when you make something stand out, principal ideas emphasised. This incident with saying to shoot the arrows, and I like the way you said shoot. You really made it stand out, and then when you struck the ground 3 times, and your voice fell and stopped. And you paused. So you really put the expression that you should have done it more than 3 times, just in that part, and stopped. And then when you quoted what Elisha was saying, you really put some power into it, that he should have done it lots of times instead of just 3. So I think you did very well at making that thing stand out. But you should have been a lot more zealous about acting out beating the Syrians. Yeah. Very good, Jay.